Automatic teller machine or ATM. So whenever we go to this ATM, there are certain activities we can do. For example, simple query of the balance. We can withdraw amount, we can change the pin. There are so many activities which we can do. So we are going to see the sequence diagram for an ATM query. So before we go to the actual sequence diagram, whenever we go to ATM, you are a user. You are interacting with the system and the software. So you are external to the system. Then there will be some interface in front of you that will be called as ATM interface. And behind it, you can have ATM control. So this first is ATM interface where she is typing, and then ATM control behind it. And there will be a transaction unit because you are going to, do the cash withdrawal or maybe some query which will be related to transaction unit, and then the printing also will be there. So in a sequence diagram, there are certain boxes or certain part of the system are being shown. First is the user, because someone has to interact with your software or your complete system, and it is outside the system. It is a user. So we use a human or man stick diagram. The person who is going to interact with the software of the system. So here it is a user. So as I told you, you can divide this your whole software or a system as ATM interface, ATM control. Then we have transaction unit. As I just earlier said, that sometimes you want to withdraw the money, actual banking where you are going to perform. Then the printing. So you can just skip this or you can add this also, because if you want a receipt, then the printing will be there. So we have a different say box or printer, but this box is all about the class and the object, because sequence diagram is all about the sequence, how the objects of a class with the class you have defined are going to interact. They are passing the messages, they are interacting, and the order in which they are interacting the objects. So for this, we will, when we do go into the detail, class name on the right, left we have object with a colon in between. So we are not going into that detail, but here let us start with the user. So this user and all the parts which I shown, there will be a lifeline. In fact, the user is outside to the system, but the lifeline of user will also be shown. ATM interface, ATM control, transaction unit, the printer, all will have their own lifeline. So whenever the outside user, because it is not the inside part, there will be a lifeline as well. And this lifeline is the negative y-axis kind of line which is dotted, and it shows that because it is lifeline, or you can say timeline, you can also say. So whenever a user is starting some session, it will be a new session, because if you go and after that I go to an ATM, it will be a new session. So this is a new session. So once you start a session, first thing what you will do, you will enter the card or insert the card, your ATM card, automatic teller machine, anytime machine, all time machine card. Now you're inserting the card. So now this ATM interface is in front of you, but when you insert the card, it goes to the ATM control. So this ATM control will print a message. What will be the message? Because card, first you have to see that card whether its magnetic strips are okay or not. So it has to be checked at ATM interface followed by the ATM control. So once the ATM control has checked, it will ask for the password. Once you get the message, enter password, you are going to put or enter the password. Once you enter the password, then the validity will be checked, that whether your card is valid or not. So checking of validity will be done here, and this is done by the ATM control. Okay, this card is valid. This is the check of validity. See, if you go to the detail, there can be an if-else condition here. The user may enter a wrong password. So if user enters a good password, then the ATM control will say okay, valid. Otherwise, in else, it will be invalid password. Please enter the password again. So it has to be put under a box, and that box will be on the three lifeline: user, ATM interface, and ATM control. Okay, on all these three, there will be a box, but I'm not making it just to make it keep it clean. Okay, so there are certain if and else conditions that you can put. So now the operation will be asked, okay, your card is valid, now tell us what you want to do, because you can ask for the balance, you can withdraw the cash, you can even change the PIN. There are so many options which are given. So let us say all these as query account. Assume that as query account is the generalized way we are representing all these operation. So the operation is underway. It can be asking for your balance, it can be withdrawing your amount, because once you want to withdraw your amount, it will ask for the amount, you have to input the amount. But in order to find out the balance, you just have to say what balance, and that query of account request or balance request now will go to the transaction unit. Now the role of the transaction unit, or now the transaction unit will be activated here. And whichever query, as I said, you are asking for a balance, that query, the request will be fulfilled, and that query will be returned back to you, means the answer will be returned back to you. Okay, so once this is done, and as I said, if you want to withdraw, then one more message you can insert, that enter amount, and then finally it will give you a message of that take out your money, and there will be a beep also. So this is how this different kind of query will work. So now the query is fulfilled, and now, as I said, if else condition again it can be checked. Sometimes the money you have put in for withdrawal is not in the cash or not in the those numerals. So that will also be catered in if else. Finally, once you are done, it will ask, or it will say that take card, because the balance will be shown. If you say that your balance you want to find out, then the take card, and you will take out the card. And let us assume that this machine is giving you print by automatically. You are not asking for the print. They are by self, they are giving you print. So the request of receipt, you may say yes or no. So once you say yes, it will return you the receipt. That is, this is your balance, or this is your amount, whichever query was there. And then you print message, take receipt. You will get the receipt, and the final thing is done. So this is a very simple example. It is not, because I have not entered various things. A sequence diagram contains a lot of symbols and notation that will make this more important and understandable by the programmer.